everybody, I hope you're having a lovely day. So today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be doing the Seamstress Tag. So you've probably seen quite a few of these videos already if you're anything like me. So I'm not actually going to tag anybody because I think everybody's probably already done it by now. But a big thank you to Hollie from Hollie Sews for coming up with this idea. It has been really fun. So basically there's 12 questions that I'm going to rattle through and hopefully you'll find some of it interesting. So let's get going with the first question. Question number 1. Who are you? So I am Hannah Victoria of Eva Louvre Lingerie Sewing Patterns. I live in Derbyshire, England, if you can't tell, and I'm 25. Second question, when and why did you start sewing? So I guess it all started for me at school. I used to do fine art and photography, and I guess for me the more creative subjects I could do at school the better. So around sort of GCSE age, so like 14, I started doing textiles as well, so a pretty full-on workload for quite young, I guess, but I absolutely loved it and I sort of developed my sewing skills. And interestingly, I was actually thinking about this when I read this question, but it was actually my partner's mum who first taught me to use a sewing machine years ago when we were at school, so I was about 14, so 11 years ago. Oh my goodness. Third question, favourite/proudest make? So I've only really been running my business for probably just under a year, or I mean I didn't really start going properly until the start of this year, so there has been so many things I have been proud of that I have accomplished this year, so much more than I ever thought I would in my first year. However, I think the proudest I have ever been of something I have made is would be my final collection at uni. So this was sort of the culmination of 3 years studying, a lot of blood, sweat, tears, late nights, early mornings, lots of money as well went into realising my final collection. And then I was quite naughty actually. We were all supposed to be backstage, but I was sort of standing watching everybody's stuff walk down the runway, and I was just so proud of what I had made. So I guess you could call this maybe like wearable art rather than sort of something you would wear walking down the street. But it was a really good opportunity to develop my pattern cutting skills, because I can tell you now that was not easy. Number 4, disastrous make. So thankfully not 100 things come to mind when I think of disasters. Some of my first twirls when I'm creating a new pattern are pretty heinous, but that tends to be because of the fabric that I use. I bought this fabric and I bought quite a lot of it, I've got no idea why, but this is like orangey stripy fabric and it's just horrible. So mix that with some really nasty like teal coloured really bad quality lace and some of my first twirls just look awful. However, that is all part of the process, so I don't think that really counts as a disaster. However, one thing that still causes me pain every time I think about it was this coat I made at uni, and it was 3rd year, and it was sort of like the run up to sort of doing our final collection, so it was sort of practicing ideas sort of thing, and I made this coat out of this really expensive fabric that I bought in London, which was an absolute mistake. I completely wasted it. But yeah, it had like 3D bits on it and wire, and it was just awful. I actually handed it in all folded up and was like, ugh, I'm so sorry, please don't fail me, I will do better next time. It was just absolutely terrible. Question number 5 is your favourite place to go fabric shopping. So there's quite a few places that I love, and if I go somewhere new I will tend to hunt out fabric shops. So recently we were down in Christchurch in Dorset and I found an adorable little sewing shop called the Little Sewing Company, which was, oh, it's just lovely in there. And when we went to York, I spent a lot of our sort of anniversary went for looking at sewing machines and looking at all this fabric in this fabric shop I found. But one place that I do love and go to kind of regularly is Leeds, like the indoor market in Leeds. So I went to uni in Leeds, so I know it quite well, and it's where I used to get all my fabric from for my like collections at uni. And the indoor market is really good because they get a lot of stuff from like factories that make clothes for high street, so a lot of the stuff is really appropriate for making clothes, so that's really good if you ever get the chance to go to Leeds. Go to the indoor market. Another place I go to a lot, because it's quite a bit closer to home, is Birmingham. So there is the rag market, which again is really good because they get a lot of stuff from the factories. And Fancy Silk Store is there. It's a big 3-storey building full of fabric. And also there is Barry's Fabrics, and they are all like condensed in such a small space, so you can literally go and park in the boring car park and spend a small fortune parking, and then you can just go to all these amazing fabric places. So I have literally never been disappointed when I've gone fabric shopping in Birmingham. So one place I must mention as well is Fabulous Fabrics in Ashby-de-la-Zouch. It is amazing. It's owned by Alison Smith, MBE, and she has so much stuff there. There's absolutely gorgeous fabrics, loads of lingerie supply, she runs courses, and it's brilliant. Question number 6 is most used sewing pattern. So this is a little bit tricky for me because I don't tend to buy too many sewing patterns. I tend to draft them and make them myself if I do want something. However, I did recently buy a Sew Over It silk cami top pattern, and I bought the PDF, printed it out, stuck it together, no trouble at all, and yes, within a couple of hours I'd made 3. So I guess that's my most used pattern. So patterns of mine that I use quite a lot are my Chloe Thong pattern, my Rosie bra pattern, which is really nice. It's just got some lace at the front, just great for everyday lounging around, and also my Esme panties sewing pattern, which is a really popular one, and I think it's just because it's a great basic everyday pair of underwear, but they are just really nice. Question number 7 is most dreaded sewing task. So the first thing that came to mind when I was thinking about things I hate doing in the sewing room was unpicking. Oh my goodness, it is such a waste of time, especially when you've sewn like one leg opening with fold over elastic and that all looks really nice, and then you go and sew the other leg opening with fold over elastic using a 3-step zigzag stitch and you sew it on the opposite way around. That is the most frustrating waste of time ever. So question number 8 is favourite sewing task. So I know I've just been saying how bad it can be when sewing elastic goes wrong, but when it goes right and it all comes together, it's normally one of the last things you do when you make underwear, because obviously I make a lot of underwear, and you can see, da-da, this is what it's going to look like and fit like, and yeah, I think that's probably my favourite thing when it all comes together at the end. So question number 9 is, I've forgotten, favourite sewing entertainment. So I always have something on in the background, because the problem is when you work alone, you are alone a lot, and you can get pretty lonely, so I always have something on, whether it's old movies, and give it a few weeks I'll be on to all the Christmas movies, so yeah, Netflix, music as well, so like Spotify and podcasts, the radio, just anything that means I'm not so lonely. So this is the question, printed or PDF, and I know there can be arguments made for both, however with me it is PDF all the way, because I am probably the most impatient person ever, and when I decide I want to make something, I want it now. I don't buy too many patterns, as I mentioned, but when I do, on the rare occasion, it will be a PDF. Instant gratification, you can have it straight away, and because I deal a lot with PDF patterns, obviously, I can just stick them together really fast. I don't even cut them out, I just fold and stick, and yeah, I can be on my sewing way. I would actually just like to take this opportunity to stick up for PDF patterns, because I know some people hate them because they can take up your whole evening trying to stick them together, and if you're making something quite big, then that is of course true. However, with my patterns, as it's all underwear, they're really small pattern pieces, so some that you print off will literally be 1 pattern piece per page, some you might have to stick 2 or 3 pieces of paper together, so it's really not that bad. However, I know there are people that will still want printed patterns, so my patterns are available as both, which was always the plan, even though I just started off with PDF, and when I could afford to, now they are available as printed as well. Question number 11 is, what sewing machine, or indeed in many people's cases, machines, do you use? So I'm going to show you what is behind me. So the first machine I use a lot is my Brother Overlocker. It is a limited edition 1034D. That's what it says on it. And it is brilliant. It's a really popular one. I've seen quite a few people who've got these. It's just a basic entry level. It was about £200 sewing machine. I actually bought this one because I had a much more expensive overlocker, but it kept breaking. The upper and lower loop just kept jamming and hitting each other no matter how many times I got it serviced. So I had to buy this one in a little bit of an emergency, but I've never been disappointed with it. It is a good machine. So another sewing machine which I use quite a lot is my Genome XL601. So this is a digital sewing machine, I'm gonna say. I think that's the right word. Basically you can press buttons and things happen. So let me show you this really cool feature. You can press this button and the needle just goes down, and then you press it again and it just comes back up. That literally blew my mind the first time I did it. It was just, you don't have to wind it, it's just really cool. Another really good thing actually with this sewing machine is you can control your top speed, which is really, really good if you are teaching someone to sew or if you are new to sewing, because you can put your foot right to the floor if it's on the slowest setting and it just keeps going like this. Because I know that puts people off sometimes using a sewing machine because they're scared that it's going to go too fast and they're not going to be able to control the fabric or anything like that. So with this one, it just makes it really, really easy. So another machine that I have is really useful for travelling because it is tiny, and that is my John Lewis sewing machine. I don't know if they don't, it's just a John Lewis sewing machine. It's the mini one and it has got to be the most Instagrammable sewing machine I've ever seen. It's so cute and so tiny, and it comes with me on my travels, and it is just fabulous. A little bit noisy, but fabulous. So finally, question number 12 is any other hobbies? So I sort of had to think about this one quite hard because a lot of my hobbies became part of my work life. So I'm then thinking, can I count them as hobbies even though I enjoy it? But one thing I absolutely love is photography. I have so many cameras, you would not believe it if I showed you. I have got old film cameras, SLR cameras, Polaroid cameras, other instant cameras. My Diana mini camera is so cute. It's got like blue and it's got clouds on. It's so cute. I was literally strapped to my hip my entire uni life. I think it was the first thing I ever actually wanted to be was a wedding photographer. I just love it, and I think it counts as a hobby because I do take my camera out of the house with me, so I guess that counts as a hobby. So there we are, that is all 12 questions answered. I hope you found some of that interesting. Do give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. But until next time, bye!